So today, before I go to work, I am going to spend a little bit of time outside, get some sunlight on my skin. Gonna take today's trash, throw it in the trash can. But I'm gonna just put this Comica Boom SD mic test way. Hopefully you can still hear me. What I did was on my hip, I have the receiver, and then I have the lavalier mic up here on my lavalier, my collar. And yeah, how does this sound? Walking back and forth. Because at one point, I thought about getting, the Rode. The Rode is alright, but if I already have the Comica, why do I need the Rode? Also, I want to put to test the C-Log 3 and the dynamic range. Not only that, but I want to try to do some talking head stuff with the 85 millimeter. As a matter of fact, let's go take a look at it. So, like I was saying, let's take a look at the 85 millimeter lens from Canon, right? So this is the EF 85. The filter thread, I really wish that people had told me about this, ahead of time, because I thought that I already had filters for it. Or, yeah, I mean, I do technically, but it's a 58. It's a 58 millimeter filter thread. So, if you are kind of in the same position that I was in, right? You started off with one of Canon's EF lenses, and you had, let's say, the kit lens, I think it's 18 to 55. So if you have the 18 to 55, that's a 58 millimeter focal length. If you brought filters for it, they'll fit on the 85. Now, I got this from KEH, not sponsor, but from what I've seen from KEH and the two lenses that I've gotten, I've always gotten like the bottom tier of KEH. Sometimes it's listed as ugly or whatever, but this lens in particular, it actually wasn't too bad. So when I got this, there was like dust on the inside. When I put it on the actual camera, it didn't seem to affect the image quality. I also got the 24 to 105 from KEH, and it looked like it had a scuff on the lens. Didn't affect the image quality whatsoever, so I didn't pay it any mind. This 85, I think normally they'll go for like $350 if they're new, but going through KEH, like I said, I got this under $200. So, I mean, I'm actually using the Canon R6. So the RF 85 is, I think, $500, $600, somewhere around there. And that's a lot for, kind of a newbie when it comes to 85. The 85 is really good for compressing the background. So look at the background now, right? It looks like it's really, really far away. We're gonna hop onto the 85. Now, this is a 1.8 lens, so it will blur out the background, but look at how close the background gets in comparison to 10 millimeter. So this is how close it is with the 85 millimeter. Now, you see how close I am. Look at the background, right? That's pretty significant. So in order to kind of get, I'm about 2 feet away from, my camera. Let's see how far we can go. Hoping that the Comica Boom mic lasts, but let's see how far we can go to actually get me in frame. Let's set this up for a second. So let's go ahead and back up. So this looks like, now, because you were able to see, I don't know, this looks pretty decent, right? So you can actually see most of my body, almost the same framing as it was before. I don't know how much my body can see. The little flip out screen that's on the camera I can barely see because of the sunlight. But I'm probably, I don't know, 5 to maybe 15 feet away from the camera now, maybe 20. But this is what it would look like if I were to try to set up the camera and do a talking head, or, you know, full body, mid body, quarter body, whatever, I don't know what to call it. But look at how close the background is. The camera itself hasn't moved. The background is hella close. And you saw when it was just my head, how close the background was to my head. So this is what an 85 does. Now, when you take it down to 1.8, I think I have it down at 1.8, but you can almost see how blurry the background is versus me. So I pop out more because there's more contrast and focus. 1.8 is the plane of or how deep the plane of focus is. So remember in geometry class when they talked about it takes 3 points to determine the plane, 2 points is a line. So 3 points is a plane, and then right in front of that plane is another plane, and so forth and so on throughout all of space, which is why geometry was one of those courses that if you didn't pay attention and take notes, you may not have done so well. It's kind of hard to just grasp onto geometry, but we're going to use a little bit here. So the previous lens that we had was a 4.5, okay? That's the lowest f-stop that it could go, meaning that I don't know exactly what each measurement means, but 4.5 was the depth of field, or the depth of focus where that item was in focus. 1.8 is a depth of focus, okay? So how deep of a plane can be in focus? They also make 85 millimeters at 1.4, 1.2, and you can suspect that the lower the depth of field, or the lower that F number is, the higher the price is going to be. But the real question is it even worth it? 85 1.8, like I said, getting it new from, you know, certain stores, you could look for somewhere around 3, maybe even 400 if it's brand new. I got it used, so I got it for right around 200, which is, to me, a heck of a deal. Now, there's also the Canon 85, I believe this is a 1.4. It's at $1,500, which is insane. $1,500? And then those are still EF lenses, so you would still need to have an adapter. Luckily, $100 adapter saves me a bunch of money. But let's say I wanted to go with an RF, because I have a Canon R6. I wanted to have an RF Canon camera with the 85 millimeter. Let's say I want to go all the way down to 1.2. I've seen it as high as $3,000 for that one lens. And, you know, listen, I'm not a professional. Take pictures here and there, make videos, do little things like that. If you're in that same kind of hobby realm, don't even worry about the F4, the f1.4s or the f1.2s. Go with the f1.8, take your photos. If you want to do a couple side jobs here and there, make a couple extra bucks, perfect. If you want to get professional, you're being hired, birthdays, weddings, and all those kind of things, you might be able to justify it at that point, because now it's a part of your business, you know, something that you can advertise, something that you can, you know, use to gain more clients. That's reasonable. As a hobbyist, unless you have that kind of money, if you have that kind of money, spend it, do what you do. I'm not going to monitor your pockets. So I know this video was supposed to be about the 85 1.8, but what I have here is another lens from KEH. Now this lens is the 24 to 105. The only thing is this one is an f4. Now it's f4 from 24 all the way up to 105. So there is an 85 millimeter point on here. The only thing about that is that it's 85 at f4. Now 85 would kind of be extended right about here, whereas 24 is completely, you know, closed off, and then 105 is completely extended. We'll go ahead and take a look and see what 85 with f4 looks like. So right now we're looking at 85 at 1.8. Hopefully I'm in focus. I'm way too far away to be able to judge that. Now the one good thing about this lens is actually a macro lens. So I can get a lot closer with this lens than I could with the 85. But let's go ahead and step back a little bit. So 85 f4, the background is probably still blurry, but it's probably not as blurry as it was with the 1.4. I'm sorry, the 1.8. But that leads to the question, why would you buy a separate 85mm lens if you could just use your 24-105? Well, because the 84 prime lens, and prime lenses mean that it's not a zoom. You know, if you ever think of prime numbers, math has so much to do with, you know, photography and videography, right? We got the rule of thirds, we got prime lenses and 1.8s, and, you know, the 180 rule, and all these kind of different math terms. But a prime lens is simply a lens that doesn't get divided or doesn't zoom or doesn't go in and out. So an 85 is an 85. The beauty of a prime lens is that they usually come in a lower f-stop, or in the camera term, a faster lens. So the lower the f-stop, the faster the lens. And it has little, you know, blades on the inside, and as they open up, you know, that f-stop gets smaller. So the wider the lens, the more light that's let in, and the shallower depth of field. Hopefully I didn't lose you with all my terminology and things like that. But like I said, having a faster lens, blurrier background, slightly more professional, you know, feel. Some people like it, some people don't. My question to you, do you prefer a prime lens, or would you rather just have a do-it-all zoom lens? Leave your comments in the section below. But with that being said, this is your boy GR8JSMO, and I'm out.